If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day.
Spent the last 2 weeks just grinning. I spent the last 2 weeks All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Big Dog Brett, thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I am suffering through a little bit of a medical anomaly. I have a condition where I will randomly and unexplainably swell up in usually around my face. So if it sounds like I'm talking with dip, I am not. I have some type of allergy. So right now, all of this is swollen, so it makes it hard to move my lip. But got the proper medication in place, so we're going to power through. All right, guys. So everybody keeps asking about the injury report, so I'm just going to go over it real quick. It says Tyler Simmons. Read the turkey too much to meet with. What's going on, everybody? Let's do a quick shout out to who we've got in the comment section here. Obviously, we've got Dwayne RDR. He's always here. Ryan Petro, SEC Dawg, Iceberg Players, Uncle Lou's in the house. Mike Taylor, Bartholomew. He's always in here. James Willoughby. Appreciate you guys for jumping on. Obviously, we'll get some more in here in just a little while. But I'm going to go ahead and jump through the injury report real quick, and then we'll get into the top 25, and then we'll do a little bit of talk about the college football playoff and rivalry week. Which is hard to say with a stiff bottom lip, but we'll get through it. All right. So the injury report, obviously, we just talked about how Lawrence Cager is out. We don't know if he landed on that shoulder again. I would almost want to question what in the world they were thinking having him play contact in an off week like this. We're not going to need the guy for Georgia Tech, and I don't foresee it being something where the coaches would say he was injured when he really wasn't. They just wouldn't say anything, and they would just play him for maybe a quarter and then take him out. So more likely than not, it is actually an injury. That's bad news. Cager has been kind of a go-to target for Fromm. Fromm feels real comfortable with him, and for whatever reason, he can't seem to stay healthy. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen with that. So the injury report reads as thus: wide receiver Tyler Simmons is out with a shoulder. He's probable to play. DB Tyreek McGee is a foot injury. He's probable to play. C. Trey Hill is an ankle problem. He'll probably play. Big Ben has a foot. He's probable. David and the DL David Marshall has a foot injury. He's probable to play. Eric Stokes is questionable with a head and neck injury. I would hope that we don't have to play him. There's no reason for Eric Stokes to be in this game. High ankle sprain for Cager, great. Just great. Cade Mays has an ankle and shoulder injury. He's questionable. Then, of course, DeJuan Mathis is completely out. He was cleared to do a little bit more stuff, but he has not been seen doing anything more. Hey, what's going on, Keith? Welcome back to the channel, man. Thanks so much for joining on. Tommy Bush, he's out with a groin injury, and Justin Schaefer is out with a neck. And that's about all the updates we have right now as far as the injury list goes. Looking at this game, Landers is healthy, so we have that. Ryan, I want you to go outside, sir, and I want you to take a couple of 2-befores, and I want you to hold one in each hand, just like this. And I want somebody to throw a football at you really hard and see if you can catch it, because that is about the talent, skill, and ability Landers has shown so far. It's like his hands are completely rigid. He can't catch anything. That guy's terrible. We've got some young receivers, but there's no reason why these guys can't catch. That's it. Put some tape on it. Honestly, I think what you're going to see is Georgia is going to play some other backs. You're going to see some running backs come in there. You'll probably see a more Zeus. You'll probably see some more Zamir. White and James Cook, and you'll see those guys get around pretty good. So I don't think it'll be a big problem running all over Tech. Tech allows on average like 400 yards in offense against even bad teams. So I don't think Georgia will have any problem. Landers needs to borrow Fromm's glove. Well, he can't do that, Dwayne, because Fromm can't make up his mind if he wants to wear them or not. So it's highly likely it's going to go back and forth. WD-40 and some duct tape. Zamir White, James Cook, and Zeus are going to be huge. Well, Zeus is Zamir White, just so you know. But yes, that is correct. They are going to be incredible. It's going to be another 100 yards rushing for some running back at Georgia, if not two. And that'll be all we really need to do. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on, Rob D. I saw Sarah Crane in here earlier. Mike Taylor's in here. The boy couldn't catch a cold. Absolutely right. So let me move the chat bar to the other side so I can kind of keep up with what's going on. And I apologize. I don't look at the camera a whole lot because there's so much. There's a screen over here. There's a screen over here. There's a screen over here. Mike, chat so way over to that side. So it is what it is. But yeah, so let's talk about the college football playoff poll that came out. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about how Ohio State jumped LSU into the number 1 ranking. I think everybody pretty much this season, or at least I have, I've been under the assumption that Ohio State should have been number 1 all along. LSU being number 2. I mean, I can see where you could want to make an argument for them being number 1, but I would say more likely they're better fit at number 2. I think that Ohio State is a much more well-rounded team. I think their defense is by far better than LSU's. I can see Clemson at 3rd just because you don't know where else to put them, and Georgia at number 4. So a lot of things kind of play into contention here. One of the things that I look for is how is this going to shake out? Now, right here, obviously this list is not going to continue to stay in this format. There's no way that this is going to stay just like it is in the college football rankings, because Georgia has to play LSU. Most everybody knows that. Mr. Miyagi trying to catch a fly with chopsticks. Well, at least Mr. Miyagi could do it. Josh Hobbs Sports Radio Network. Man, that's a long name, dude. That was BS. They are making sure 2 SEC teams don't get in. I don't know that that's the case either. And the reason I say that is because I can point back to when Alabama got in. LSU has a similar resume to what Alabama had. Now, granted, number 4 spot, whatnot. But it is entirely possible that Alabama's not going to get in. Now, the reason I say that, and this is not to slight any Bama fans. This is just the way that I see it. I'm personally going to catch a lot of sand for this, but I really, really think that Auburn's got a good chance at beating Alabama this year. It's at Auburn. Auburn is pretty upset. That is a hostile environment. It's a rivalry game. 2 years ago when they played there, Auburn won. Alabama was ranked number 1, and Auburn still won that game. Not to mention that this will be the first real start for Mac. So I think it's very possible that they could lose that game. Nothing would thrill Auburn more than to upset Alabama again. They would be one of 2 teams that have beaten Alabama in the past 3 years. Think about that. The other one's Clemson, by the way. Unless I missed somebody. Point it out if I missed them, but I don't think I did. So anyway. Clemson shouldn't have any problems. They're playing South Carolina. There's been a lot of talk about how last year, I think it was that South Carolina put like 800 yards in passing on Clemson. Clearly, it didn't make a difference. They couldn't score when they needed to. So I'm not too worried about it. Mac Jones is a poor man, Stetson Bennett. More like Colt Bennett. Alabama by 17. Hey, I can see it. I think that Bo Nix is a good enough quarterback in that type of environment. I think in that type of environment, if you find a way to get some pressure on Mac, which I'm fully believe Auburn can do, it's gonna make for a very difficult game for them. So yeah. What's up, Artie? Well, yeah, LSU is gonna beat you, so Alabama might get in for sure. Here comes Artie again, professional troller. So Artie is the same guy that swore up and down all year that Georgia was going to lose to Florida and that Georgia was going to lose to Auburn. And I said, sir, I just need to see some facts. Now, keep in mind that Georgia has performed well under my standard and has still managed to beat Florida and Auburn. So, yeah, we played Auburn at Auburn. We played Florida in Florida and won both games. With Jake Fromm throwing about 60% at best. So, yeah. I think it's a close game at half until his brother comes in. And I don't know, dude. I don't think you can throw that guy in that kind of game and just expect him to pull off some kind of miracle. I just really don't. All right, so I'm going to flip screens here real quick. So, if you're looking at the setup right now would put Georgia playing Ohio State right out of the gate, which is interesting for a lot of reasons because of the whole Justin Fields thing. Obviously, Justin Fields is producing at a much better rate than what Jake Fromm is, regardless of scheme, play style, whatever. Justin Fields is playing lights out, and if he continues on the course he's on, he is going to be a name that is going to live in infamy at not only Ohio State, but also at Georgia, especially if Ohio State goes on and wins the national championship. So if we look at, let me pull this up over here again. Sorry, I lost the feed. Radiant Noah. Alabama, if Alabama loses to Auburn, Auburn's ranked number 15. I could legitimately see them moving Auburn into the top 10 and moving Alabama to out of the top 10, honestly. Utah is not a contender. If Utah somehow manages to get into the college football playoff, whomever they play is going to destroy these guys. Their average opponent, like their best win is like a number 46 ranked team. You want to talk about playing a bunch of cupcakes, man. Kind of falling behind over here on the chat. Let me see here. Uh-oh. What happened? Something weird happened with the chat bar. Let me pop it back out. All right, there we go. ESPN is too much in love with Alabama to do that. Maybe. Iceberg player says Nick Saban can, but won one out of the last 3 years of division. Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen are good coaches. Good. Yes. Great. Not even close. Dan Mullen can't win a division. Yeah. Dan can't win a division, Mullen. That is correct. Mack is accurate, and the receivers will help him. That's true, but they're also going to be playing some of the stiffest competition they've seen all year. And I can guarantee you that Gus Malzahn is going to have that defense dialed up to try to get after him. So we'll see how he does. Urban Meyer is elite. Mullen is a bum. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, guys. I am just here for the comments. So how come Mullen can't win against Kirby Smart? I don't know, dude. Somebody tell me. Oh, Luke Joels, man. Luke Joels. Oh, man. If I could find a way to highlight that, I would highlight that. That is hilarious. Kirby can't win against Nick. Well, almost nobody can, so I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous statement. I can't put that on the channel, Rob. D. Sorry, man. So, look, then we get to Oklahoma, right? And Oklahoma, I believe they got to play Baylor again. Let me pull that up real quick. I just want to be sure. I'm almost 100% sure they have to play Oklahoma. Baylor. So they play Oklahoma State, which is ranked number 21, and then they play Baylor, ranked number 11, for the championship. And I honestly believe if Baylor gets it turned around, if they can finish a football game, they can honestly beat Oklahoma. I think that game is going to be very similar to the first game you watched, except Oklahoma is going to have it. Baylor's going to have it figured out, and Oklahoma is not going to be able to shut them down. I guarantee you that they have worked on that ever since that game happened. I think everybody's kind of surprised at how well Baylor has done this year. Oklahoma barely beat Baylor 2 weeks ago. Oklahoma come back and basically won that game at the last second, 34-31. Baylor goes out, road grades Texas, holds them to just 2 scores and under. And now they're playing Kansas, which is going to be a cupcake game, and then they got to play Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma doesn't get a cupcake game. They got to play OSU. So, OSU is ranked in the top 20 or 21. So, it's not going to be the easiest team they've seen. The team's got some talent, so we'll see what happens. What's my favorite Thanksgiving dessert? Man, I would have to say pecan pie. That is by far my favorite. When it's made right. If it's not, pecan pie is one of those things where it's not made right, just throw it in the trash. We don't even need to have a conversation. You can't fix it with ice cream. You can't fix it with whipped cream. You can't fix it nothing but start over and try again. That's my favorite Thanksgiving one. No, Artie Mullen has never won a division or the SEC or a playoff game. I don't think he's even appeared in a playoff game. Ham or turkey? Pumpkin pie. Yeah, pumpkin pie is good. Ham or turkey? I like turkey, but like one of those honey baked hams, like with the apple and cinnamon glaze on it, an argument could be made. What's going on, Chiquita? Won the East. McElwain won the East twice. I believe he won it back to back. And they still fired the guy. So, Sarah, you speaking my language now. Definitely speaking my language. 2017 SEC title already. That was worth mentioning. What I do find it interesting is that in the top 5, there's 3 SEC teams. And then you've got Auburn at 15. You've got Florida at 16. And then you've got, I think that's it. That is it. Where will Franks end up next year? I don't think you could really ask for any better play than what you've seen out of Trask. What I will tell you I was surprised, though, is that Garantano came back over Mara. I'm surprised they let that happen, but the guy's been playing good, so I don't know. Maybe he needed that downtime. Artie says, when Kirby wins the national championship, we'll talk. I know for a fact that he ain't hitting the playoffs this year. Maybe, but we sure got a better shot than Florida does. Sure got a better shot. Sure got a better shot than Auburn does. How long before we have Bobo as OC and Muschamp as DC? Both are about to be fired. I would take Bobo in a heartbeat. I don't think we need Muschamp, but I wouldn't be surprised if we either hire Muschamp or Muschamp goes back to Alabama, or if they hire him over at LSU. I also wouldn't be surprised if he got hired to work under Jimbo Fisher either. Wouldn't be surprised. Artie says, Muskrat is trash. Florida is ranked number 11, sir, and probably will be to 10. I don't know. I guess you meant top 10. Maybe. But this is the, I believe, third year in a row that Georgia has at least made the college football ranking playoffs. I don't think Florida has even scratched the surface on that. So, yeah, looking at, the Oklahoma Penn State, the rankings currently show Oklahoma at 7 and Baylor at 11, but according to the CFP rankings, it's 7 and 9. Penn State's out of it. Florida's out of it. Wisconsin's out of it. Michigan has to play Ohio State, I think. So, yeah. Florida does not have a terrible defensive coordinator. Coordinator. This lip thing is killing me. Coordinator. Their defense is actually pretty decent, man. I don't know what else to tell you. It just is. You look at the top ranked defenses, Florida's up there. I mean, they're definitely in the top 25. We need a new OC like the Georgia State OC because they're ranked higher than us in total offense. Well, yeah, they're ranked higher than us in total offense, but I also think they're like a Sun Belt team or something like that. So, I mean, they're playing teams that aren't that great. South Carolina basically gave them a blueprint on how to, I guess he meant defeat Georgia, and still played soft zone coverage. Well, I mean, the team that really gave everybody the blueprint on how to play against Georgia was Notre Dame. Notre Dame was the one that started out running the slants and across the middle to the tight end, and we couldn't do anything to stop it. I mean, not legitimately. If it wasn't for a few missed passes, they probably would have continued to go down the field on us. Bryant Denny said Florida did exactly what I thought they would: go 10-2 and lose to Georgia. Seems to be a trend for them. Florida's got a good offense. The team's coming along. The team's further along than what I thought they would be. They still got some growing to do, but so does Georgia. The thing I've hated to see this year, and I mean that I've hated to see, that I will always hate to see, is whenever a team takes a step backwards. So if you look at UGA's point average, I think we're averaging like something ridiculous. I want to say I think it was like 33 points a game, but I think after the last game, I think it dropped to like 28. Just nothing really impressive. Iceberg player said, "Yeah, War Eagle, Dan Mullen." Proof positive he can't pick a winner between his team or somebody else's. Muschamp set the blueprint that every other team since has used to shut our offense down. Yeah, that's true. Rob D is absolutely correct. Even in years where when our team was averaging 40 plus points a game, we would still lose games. And that isn't Mike Bobo's fault. That was on the defensive coordinator. And Mark Richt, for whatever reason, couldn't get it together. He just couldn't. So, to me, I think that Ohio State is probably going to stay where they're at unless something dramatic changes. I don't see that happening. LSU is going to play Georgia. If Georgia beats LSU, there's going to have to be a conversation had about whether Georgia moves to the number 2 spot and Clemson stays at number 3, and LSU actually go and stay at number 4. Now, while that may not be a popular theory, you would have to say that even though Georgia has one loss, it would have the most impressive win in the top 4, having a one-loss team. Clemson has really played nobody. I think they've played maybe one ranked team, if not 2 at the most. But at that point, Georgia would have the most solid resume. LSU, having beat Alabama and only having one loss and having played a much tougher schedule, you can make a solid argument that they should be ranked above Alabama. Clemson would have to stay in the top 4 simply because they're going to run the ACC gauntlet and come out with undefeated. So, I mean, that's, you know, I think that's legitimately could happen. Bama may have a better shot at the playoffs than us if we lose to LSU. Wouldn't they slide right in? I don't know. I think, honestly, I think an undefeated Utah would probably jump Alabama at the end. But who knows? Alabama's going to be playing. Alabama's going to be playing as best they can. I just don't know if they're going to be able to beat Auburn at home. That's a tough environment, man. I mean, it just is. If Dan Mullen doesn't sign up a good recruiting class and keep them all next year, it just gets tougher for him. Yep, absolutely true. The problem one of the problems that you have is that during the course of a year, if you're not performing well on offense or you're not performing well on defense, it immediately is reflected. Oh, that's right. Utah already has a loss. Thanks, RB. If there's something that you're not doing well, like offense, and you have players at those games and you're trying to recruit those guys see that stuff. You know, they want to be on a team where they're going to look like rock stars because that's the product that they're trying to sell to the NFL. So, I mean, you got to be able to perform. It doesn't surprise me that there's been people coming out and saying that Georgia has lost recruits because of the way we've been playing this year. What are you going on about, Artie? What did I miss, Artie? Sarah says she's going to try and get tickets for Alabama, Georgia in 2020. Bryant-Denny Stadium is undergoing a facelift for next season. Yeah, we know they already stole some of our lights, so my buddy Carl had something to say about the Ramblin' Wreck. Oh man, I'm out of water. Out of water. They ain't got no gas in it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I mean that's pretty much what's going on. Hey, what's going on, BLST? Yeah, you guys might be able to meet up, man. He can't recruit an Eskimo to a fire. That's one of the great things about this channel, man. I absolutely love I love the comment section, man. So here's some of the rundown on Georgia's stuff. Points per game, 31. And first downs, we have 102 rushing first downs and 111 passing first downs. That might be a little surprising to people considering how balanced it is. Georgia's gained 2356 in yards, and they've lost 175 on 420 attempts. That's an average of 5.2 yards. Excuse me, that's an average of 5.2 yards per attempt. The reason I bring that up is because when you're looking at a team like Alabama or Ohio State or Clemson or LSU, which is the elite teams right now, you have to say, what is this team's probability to continue to move the ball if everything doesn't go according to plan? So the reason I bring that up is because there was a game where we punted the ball 11 times. You cannot get ahead in a football game by punting the ball 11 times. Your defense is going to get tired, and they're going to begin to cave at the end of the game. What's up, Jesse Stacy? We're gonna try not to, man. We're gonna definitely try to keep you guys out. We want to hold that spot for ourselves if we can, but we'll see what happens. So the 5.2 yards per attempt on rushing versus the 7.6 yards per attempt on passing matters because teams like Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, when they had Tua in, and Clemson are averaging much higher than that. So they're averaging like 8 and sometimes 12 yards per attempt. The reason that matters is because if things go wrong on first down, you have to be able to overcome that. And this throwing short of the line of game when you clearly need to throw across the line of game. I agree, Lee. I was the one who helped him put that APB together, man. Be on the lookout, the Bolo. But you have to be able to overcome that. And right now, Georgia has been able to run its offense pretty much the way it says it wants to, but I can't believe that to be the truth, no matter who we're playing. So, it's really been difficult watching how the team has been progressing along here. So the other thing I want to do is I'm going to pull up the football schedule of LSU. I'm going to pull up the football schedule of so the football schedule for LSU for this year, if it will work right. So when they played Texas, Texas scored 38 points against them. Now, I know this was early in the season, but you have to look at it. Texas at the time was ranked number 9. They're not ranked at all now. This is a completely unranked team. I think they're barely ranked in the top 50, and they managed to score 38 points. 38 points. Vanderbilt scored 38 points. Now, neither Vanderbilt nor Texas has put on much of a defense this year. Florida scored 28 points. Mississippi State scored 13. And this is the game that interests me the most, was the Auburn game, where it was 23-20. Very, very similar numbers to what Georgia put up. So this tells me when it's a one-score game like that, it is certainly possible, especially when it's a low-scoring game, it's certainly possible that a good defense can slow down LSU. They played Alabama. Alabama scored 41 points on it. I think a lot of people have the blinders on about, well, it was Alabama. Of course they scored 41 points. Ole Miss scored 37. So there's a lot to be said that Arkansas scored 20. I think Texas A&M will probably lose this game, but I also think that this will probably be a little closer than what people realize. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be very tight. I think LSU wins this game at Texas A&M, but I don't think they win it by maybe 10 points or more. Hey, what's going on, Jay? Yeah, Fromm misses half his passes, but we still managed to win. That's what all the Disney dogs are still saying. So I just want you guys to know that if anybody really, really wants to make me a happy person, there are currently tickets for sale for the Georgia SEC Championship game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for $76,500. No, you heard me correct. $76,500. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. So there are I mean, it's not even that difficult. Like, there's lower club midfield, section 110, seat 16, are $2,800 a piece. Lower club midfield, row 128, row 6, $5,800. Hey, Lee Taylor, those guys are all studying for quantum theory and mechanics right now, dude. You're not going to see those guys on. No nerds on tonight, Lee Taylor. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that you see a score like that. That's just incredible. I mean, a cost like that. That's just crazy. Jesse Stacy said LSU doesn't even want Bama again. Even the Waterboy said that. Coach Waterboy said that. They don't say nothing. No, they don't know. But they don't know. Go Tiger. Bill ST. I would have to say that I would put the score closer to probably. I would probably say something like 24-18 or 24-17 or 24-20, something along those lines would be my guess. Sam Caserta, sit down, sir. You don't know what you're talking about. If LSU's defense is at least good enough time to stop Georgia, they have no shot. I don't care how good their defense is. LSU is going to score points. Well, sure. I mean, you could honestly say that, but you look at what the teams there. Here's what I'm saying. We have played Florida, we have played Auburn, we have played Notre Dame. None of those teams scored more than 17 points. If all Georgia has to do is score 20 points, they win that game. Simple as that. LSU has already shown that they can struggle to score against top teams. I mean, look at the Auburn Georgia game. Look at the Auburn LSU game. Georgia held Auburn to less points, and if Georgia can hold Auburn to less points, and Auburn held LSU to those points, it seems to me that Georgia is not going to have a problem playing against LSU. Yeah, SEC Dawg says LSU is only a 3-point favorite versus the Dogs, and I'm sorry, that's an accurate reasonable expectation. SEC Dawg says, "What do you think that nutty group demanded Georgia takes the mascot away? That dog was better than all of us." Well, what I would point out is the CEO. What was her name? Ingrid Newkirk was her name, or is her name? I'm sorry. And some of the things that she said, and this is no matter what context you put this in, this is what she said. I'd go to work early before anyone got there, and I would just kill the animals myself. I must have killed thousands of them, sometimes dozens a day. That is not a person that I want looking after the UGA mascot. I just do not. I don't care how you frame that. I don't care how you look at that. Keep that woman away from my dog, my kids, my neighbor's dog. Keep her away from everybody. That woman's dangerous. Georgia Tech is Georgia little brother that we beat once a year. Yeah, because there's no way to beat them twice because they don't make it far enough. Borrow is Baker Mayfield 2.0. I would also like to point out that it is extremely unusual. It's almost like a curse to get a Heisman Trophy winner. I think it's only happened like 3 times in the history of college football that the team that had the Heisman winner was actually went on to win the national championship. I'm not 100% certain on that, but it's something like that. Dwayne, Dwayne, me and Bama Moore are only one of the few fans that have faith in Mac. The kid can play, but we're also talking about an Auburn defense that's for real. Um, I don't think they're going to have as much success um, as they normally have because he's not seasoned like Tua is. And you can't make me believe that you can throw a true freshman in there and just expect him to play like Tua did when you put him in as a freshman. That's an anomaly. It just is. Now, if you look at Ohio State, there's only been one team all year that scored more than 14 or more than 17 points. Two teams, 17 points against 21 points against Ohio State, and that was Rutgers and Florida Atlantic in the very first game of the year. Everybody else has been like one touchdown or one field goal. Maryland scored 2 touchdowns, but I mean, one was a garbage touchdown they put up at the end of the game. The game was 73-14. I mean, that's just that is an unbelievable beating. Tommy Bush may not play, sir. May not play. They got to play Michigan next week. Who thinks that Michigan can beat Ohio State? Does anybody think that Michigan can beat Ohio State? That's what I want to know. I don't believe so either. I don't believe there's a chance at all. If Michigan pulls an upset, that would be the shock of the century. I don't see how. Now, in a hypothetical world, if that happens, if Ohio State takes a loss right now, where does it put them in the rankings? Would you put Ohio State at 4? Would you put them at 3? Where would you put them? I'm going to take Auburn, and I'm going to take Auburn. Give me a second here. I'll give you the score. Yeah, I think Keith's right. I think OSU and LSU can both lose and still make it in. I agree. I'm just looking at this schedule, man. I keep going back trying to gauge, get a litmus test or temperature gauge or whatever you want to call it for LSU and Ohio State and Clemson. Now, Ohio State, I can't get much of a litmus test from because the teams they played are different than teams we've played. But what I can say is that the Yellow Jackets, I get it was a season opener. They scored 14 points against Clemson. The Aggies held them to 24 points. North Carolina Tar Heels held them to 21, and they barely escaped that game. By the way, if you watch that game, now they seem to be pouring it on here lately, but I think that is more of the caliber of teams they play because they played Florida State, they played Louisville, they played Boston College Eagles, they played the Wofford Terriers, and they played NC State Wolfpack, and they played the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And these are all just terrible teams. I mean, you would never see more than 3 of these scheduled in a season in any SEC opponent. They got the Gamecocks is coming up weekend, and then they've got Virginia Tech in the ACC championship. But hey, what's going on, T Mills? If Auburn beats Alabama, they are done and no chance to sneak into the playoffs. Yeah. Yep, that is the general consensus, sir. Let's see here. I just keep looking back at this Texas A&M game where they only scored 24 points, and and then they played North Carolina and they scored 21. And the rest of these teams they've played are basically garbage teams. So I just don't know. Is Clemson going to be the Big 12 placeholder that gets into the championship or gets into the playoffs and just gets drubbed? Or are they going to be Clemson from last year who just beat the fire out of everybody? They get to the championship and they just steamroll everybody. I just don't know. I just don't know. Is it possible they had a bad game against Texas A&M? Yeah, I guess. And is it possible they just had a really bad game against the Tar Heels and that Mac Brown put together a good game plan for that game? Maybe. Tar Heels are 5-6. They're 3-4 in the ACC. I mean, look at who. I mean, the only quality win they've had really is honestly over Carolina, and they suck. They beat Miami, and they suck. Lost to Wake Forest, lost to App State, lost to Clemson by a point. Beat the Jackets 38-22. Lost in 6 overtimes against the Virginia Hokies. They're just not good. So, I'm just looking at these schedules going, I just don't know. I hate to tell you, Jesse, but I mean, try to look at it from an objective point of view. And I get you're a fan, dude. I get it. I don't blame you for being a fan, but you have to try and be objective. And this is what I'm seeing on the outside looking in. Bama has looked dominant in most facets of the game throughout the year under Tua. If Georgia beats LSU, we're in. Are you talking about Georgia? Or are you talking about Alabama, Lee? You have this is a first start for a true freshman quarterback on the road in an extremely hostile environment against against one of your biggest rivals. Hey, that would be nice, wouldn't it, Jesse, if South Carolina beat Clemson? Man, that would shake some things up. You know what? We're all sitting here talking. We're all sitting here thinking that Clemson's going to win, and so we're not even contemplating the possibility that Clemson loses to South Carolina. If Clemson loses to South Carolina, Georgia's clearly going to move up to the number 3 spot, and then Alabama would slide into the number 4 spot, and then you would have 3 out of the top 4 teams. 3 out of the top 4 teams would be SEC teams. ESPN would explode. It would be going crazy. What's going on, Tope Daddy? Oh, man. All right. So now we're going to look at this one. Dawg's 24, LSU 20. I think that's reasonable. I could see that. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Heads would explode. I mean, you would never hear the end of SEC favoritism. Oh, it's just because it's the SEC. You would never hear the end of it, dude. Never. Never, 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 never. Never. I mean, just never hear the end of it. Nobody gave South Carolina a chance to beat Georgia, but we all saw what happens. Clemson better watch out there in Columbia. For those of you that may not have ever had the opportunity to visit the stadium in Columbia, golly, I forgot the name of it. What is it? Faroe Field. No, that is Missouri's William Bryce Stadium. There we go. Goodness gracious. So for those of you who haven't had the opportunity and the pleasure of going to William Bryce Stadium, their fans, believe it or not, man, their fans show up, dude. Their fans absolutely show up, and they get it going, man. I don't think they get it going as well as some of the other SEC stadiums, but they definitely show up. That stadium it does get pretty loud. It can be a hostile environment, and I will tell you that whole, I lived in South Carolina, that whole state, I mean, that is a real rivalry. Like, it just is. Like, people will cut each other off in traffic for that stuff. It's not that way with Georgia Tech, just because Georgia dominates Georgia Tech. And it's not really that way with Florida, because Florida has 4 or 5 other teams there in the state that they have to contend with. You got the Florida Gators, you got FSU, you got Miami, you got UCF. I mean, you got several teams there, and nobody goes to a Miami game. So I don't know. Michigan at 2 losses would have more quality than what? Hey, what's going on, Bearded Dog? Yeah, well, the Bearded Dog, the problem you have is that a lot of people, they don't actually sit down and look at the statistics. They just say, oh, well, Alabama's got a whole bunch of titles and nobody else does anything in the whole conference. Dennis Wilson. That number 4 is a joke. Yeah, it's almost as big a joke as the number 5 team. I'll tell you, the Iron Bowl is a for real rivalry. It's probably the most intense rivalry in the South. And for legitimate, who can beat who purposes. These two teams have went back and forth several times. They've played spoiler to one another. They've ruined each other's chances on numerous occasions. These fans borderline hate each other. So yeah, it's pretty intense. The Georgia Tech game is not even a thing to worry about. I think Georgia leads the series by like 15 or 16 games. It's crazy. Alabama wants Georgia to lend them hot rod. I bet they do. Hey, what's up, Dorito Bag? So one of the other things that we can talk about is Georgia's kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship, winning awards, which is great, but being the number 1 scorer in UGA history. Now, while that's great for Hot Rod, that should not be the case. Our offense should be able to finish drives rather than relying on him to kick a field goal. Now, I'm happy for him. He'll have a something he can talk about all his life, but that's not the way. That's not the way we want to run the games, man. It's just not the way we want to run those games. Let's see here. Where you go? Yeah, Hot Rod's a really good guy. If Georgia beats LSU, not only do we get in the playoffs, we will gatekeep Alabama. How sweet would that be? Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. A little bit of vindication from last year. Absolutely. Bama will be the reason for a 6 or 8 playoff team in the future. I think that was already been in the talks long before Alabama not being able to. Because I think this is the second time in 3 years that Alabama has not even went to the SEC championship game. So people need to quit hating on Georgia, dude. Here's how you know that your team is relevant. You have haters. If your team's legitimate, you're gonna have haters. There's people that hate Alabama. There's people that hate Clemson. There's people that hate Ohio, and it's just gonna be that way. Without Cager, we are screwed big time. I don't know, David. We certainly have opportunity. Oh, that's right. Keith is correct. This would be the first playoff without Alabama. That is a good call, sir. That is a good call. Yep. I feel like we're on a real life version of the what do they call it? Street Outlaws. Got to move up the list, man. You got to challenge the guy in the next spot. Corn dogs for sale, 2 for $1. Give me $5 worth, sir. Just have Pickens wear Cager's jersey. So I actually went back and watched some tape breakdown of that game. And let me point out a few things that maybe you didn't know. What if I told you that maybe 6 or 7 of the catches from the game that were missed, where the guys were overthrown, they were overthrown by Jake Fromm, that it wasn't Jake Fromm's fault. It took a much better trained eye than mine to see it. But once they showed it to me, I couldn't believe it. The problem we have, especially on these deep ball passes, is not that he's overthrowing the receivers. It's that the receivers don't trust either themselves or they don't trust him. Because what they're doing is when they're running downfield, instead of running their route that they're supposed to and catch the ball, they're looking back over their shoulders trying to see where the ball is, and they let up. And then they go, oh, snap, and then they try to catch back up, and by then it's too late. If they would have ran their route normally, they would have been fine. There's a prime example of the touchdown pass that went to Pickens. He ran his route. He never looked back. He just looked up, and the ball was there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to get that. If somebody still got that, I'll go get that. It's a framed picture of Uga. My wife just sent it to me. So, see you later, Carson. Have a great weekend, man. Hey, Jay, I hope you get your keys out of your truck, dude. I wouldn't say he's an average country boy. I think he's a little more heavy duty country boy than most country boys are. If that boy has an opportunity to be out in the woods or on the water, that's where he's at. So, but watching Jake Fromm play and watching that tape after somebody showed me that, kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I was kind of surprised, and I had to go, yeah, you're right. It's not just Jake Fromm that's the problem. So, I don't want to talk about next year. I want to talk about this year. I want to talk about this year, every year this year. He can put some touch on the ball. I really think that part of the problem is that the receivers don't trust him. And the reason that the receivers don't trust him is part of the problem is that the receivers don't trust him. And why the receivers don't trust him is because they run out there, they look up, they see they have to run to catch up to the ball, and they don't end up making it to the ball. So they blame Jake Fromm when really it's their fault. The coaches need to coach past that and get that fixed. With no hesitation, which offense scares you the most to play? Ohio State. Thanks for ready and Noah, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Mac Jones greater than Jake Fromm and Bo Nix. That's a possibility, but we have yet to see that, sir. Mac Jones has not won a playoff game. Bearded Dog, if UGA loses to LSU, shave your beard off. Ohio State would make it over Bama. Not sure where you're going with that, Justin. Not sure where you're going with that. Man, it's 9 o'clock already. Yeah, I gave him a mod, dude. I had a bunch of people in here being knuckleheads, and I think it was either a Saturday or a Sunday morning, and I was cooking, and I don't have time to. I won't say I don't have time. I'll say it was really inconvenient to try to jump into the chat and ban this person because I mean we had a bunch of racist remarks and all kind of stuff, and I just said, hey man, I mean he's in here and he's always been real respectful and nice to everybody. So I gave him a mod. I gave Dwayne RTR a mod. I gave Uncle Lou a mod. I gave Keith Carr a mod. And most of those guys are on pretty consistently, so I don't ever have to worry about what they say. I mean, I don't have to worry. I can trust them. My only rule is that if you see somebody who's puts racist stuff in here or they're spamming the channel, you can get rid of them. But if there's something if there's a comment that has to be approved, that's on me to approve it. If the filter catches it, it sits there until I approve it. Nobody approves it except me. Bearded Dawg, man, just out of nowhere. He goes, I will shave your mom's beard if we win. Oh my God. That's cold-blooded, man. Oh man. That oh my goodness. Oh man, that got me right there. Man, that got me. Oh man, he went to the Yo Mama jokes, man. Oh my goodness. Whew. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for me. It's been a little over an hour here. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, obviously. I think everybody wants to have a great Turkey Day. Thomas, I think Keith Carr says Thomas, I think OSU stays in with one loss. I think both OSU and LSU, like you said earlier, would be right. I think they'd both stay in. Well, the Braves do okay, but I think you're also forgetting about the Atlanta United. They won the MLS Cup last year. Those guys are actually pretty dead blame good. They're so good, in fact, that other and Keith was the one who told me this, that other teams are looking at how the Atlanta United was able to energize the Atlanta fan base and get the kind of turnout that it does. Yeah, Braves took everybody off, man. You ain't the only one. Well, guys, I really appreciate you jumping on. I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos here lately. Auburn stands for Alabama usually beats us around November. That was pretty good, too. You can make a coffee cup out of that one, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I do. Hopefully it's getting a little better. I have to take this steroid stuff, and we'll see what it does. You guys have a great Turkey Day. I may do a video for Turkey Day for you guys. I don't know yet. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos we've been turning out here lately. I got some new ideas and stuff that I want to start punching out. So we're going to try out some new stuff here pretty soon. You guys have a great day. Hold that thought 1 second. Hold that thought. Don't you do it. Damn it, Bobby. Get yourself in there on the YouTube. That ain't no way to act. Whew. Oh yeah, brother. How about a little playtime? Does Alabama have a chance? Yes, but it ain't much of one. Well, you guys, it's one more show in the books. Really appreciate you guys jumping on. You guys are awesome. You guys are what make this thing happen. Can't tell you how flattering it is to have you guys on here. You guys have a great day. Have a happy Turkey Day. God bless. Go Dogs.
What's all this for? It's got me turned around, but I can't ignore the feelings that I found in this whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking? I need to find a way. Find a way. Find a way. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out.
Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out our list.